Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've got a stack of research today that, frankly, reads a bit like a survival guide for a hurricane.
That's one way to put it.
We're looking at the public internet, and let's just be honest, it is not a friendly place.
It really isn't. I mean, if you think about the internet from 20 years ago, it was like a highway, you had lanes, you had rules, maybe a few speed traps.
Sure.
Today, it's an ocean, a really rough, dark, chaotic ocean. It's the Wild West. Ransomware is crashing down like waves. You have these undetected attacks lurking just beneath the surface.
Yeah.
The fog is just so thick.
That is a terrifying image, but it feels so accurate. You read the headlines, and it seems like everyone is just taking on water. So the mission for this deep dive is pretty specific. We are not just going to sit here and admire the storm.
Right.
We're going to figure out how to keep the ship dry. And we have this blueprint from Watchpost Security. And they're using Symantec's Zero Trust Network Access, or ZTNA, as the structural steel to build a safe harbor.
Exactly. And what's really interesting here is that Watchpost doesn't just throw a manual at you. They use a very specific visual language, their Lighthouse logo, to explain some really complex architecture.
Okay.
So we're going to deconstruct that logo piece by piece to really understand how Symantec ZTNA actually works.
I love a good metaphor, especially when it helps me understand why my credit card numbers aren't floating around on the dark web.
Yeah, right.
So we'll look at this Lighthouse, we'll break down the machinery inside it, all that jargon like SWG and DLP, and then we're going to get into the weeds on how you actually build this thing.
Especially for the engineers and IT directors listening who have an ISO audit breathing down their necks.
And that audit part is so crucial. It's one thing to say you're secure. It's another to prove it to an auditor who's just staring at a checklist.
Absolutely.
So let's start with that visual. If you pull up the Watchpost security branding, you see this striking high contrast image. You've got a lighthouse. It's standing on what looks like a digital rock. It's surrounded by that rock ocean, and the whole thing is encased in a shield.
Right. And every single pixel of that image is a deliberate architectural choice. Let's start with the water, the rough ocean.
Okay.
That represents the internet, the fog of war. It's noisy, it's chaotic, and it's filled with threats you just can't control.
And the old way was to try and build a wall around it.
Which is impossible. You can't wall off the sea.
Right.
So standing in the middle of all that chaos is the lighthouse. This represents Symantec ZTNA.
Okay.
And the core concept here is vigilance and visibility. I mean, think about what a lighthouse actually does. It cuts through the fog. It identifies ships. It doesn't just sit there. It illuminates.
So it's actively looking.
It's actively looking, and Symantec ZTNA is designed to verify every user and every device continuously.
So it's not like the old days where you swipe your badge at the front door and then you can just wander around the building all day, totally unchecked.
No, and that's the fatal flaw of the old VPN model. Once you were in, you were in. The lighthouse is constantly sweeping, it's watching. This ties right into one of Watchpost's taglines, the signal in the noise.
Okay, but a lighthouse can't just float. It has to stand on something. In the image, it's on this jagged rock, but it's made of circuitry.
That is the digital rock. That's your digital domain.
So my servers, my data.
Exactly. Your endpoints, servers, private data, the critical infrastructure. Now here is the nuance that usually gets missed. The rock keeps the lighthouse out of the water.
Separation.
Exactly, separation. In a zero-trust model, your digital foundation must never touch the ocean directly. There's an air gap, essentially, between your private data and the public internet.
Which gives us the next tagline.
Grounded in intelligence. You are grounded on that rock, safe from the waves.
And then there's this bubble. The whole thing is wrapped in a shield.
That represents cloaking.
Okay, hold on. Cloaking. That sounds a little bit like sci-fi marketing fluff. Are we talking actual invisibility here, or is this just security by obscurity?
It sounds like marketing, but functionally, it really is invisibility. If an attacker scans your network IP, they get no response, nothing. It's a dark cloud.
So they can't attack what they can't see.
That's the principle. If they scan for open ports, they find nothing. It's a black hole.
So it's not just that the door is locked, it's that there isn't even a door visible from the street.
Exactly right, which gives us the tagline. Cloaked in safety. And if you put it all together, the lighthouse, the rock, the shield, you get the mission statement, defending the digital frontier.
Okay, so that's the architecture from 30,000 feet. But I want to open the door to that lighthouse and see what's actually powering the light. Because when you look at the Symantec specs, it is just a soup of acronyms, SWG, DLP, PMA. It's easy for your eyes to just glaze over.
It really is. But you can think of them as the staff working inside the Lighthouse. You
Yeah.
need 3 specific roles to keep that place running securely.
All right, rule number 1. SWG Secure Web Gateway.
Think of the SWG as the guard at the gate.
A bouncer.
A very intelligent bouncer with a background in psychology. It sits between your employee and the internet, that rough ocean. Its job is to stop users from wandering into bad neighborhoods. So if an employee tries to click a link to a known malware site, the guard steps in and says, absolutely not. It stops the user from bringing dangerous things back into the Lighthouse.
So it protects the user from the internet. But what about the other way around, protecting the company from the user?
That's rule number 2. DLP. Data loss prevention. This is the inspector.
Like customs.
Exactly like customs.
Yeah.
The guard watches where you go. The inspector watches what you're carrying out. DLP looks at the traffic leaving the Lighthouse in real time. It's reading the files. It's checking for sensitive things, credit card numbers, patient records, passwords.
That seems critical because, let's be real, most data leaks aren't some guy in a hoodie hacking the mainframe.
No.
It's usually Bob in accounting accidentally emailing a spreadsheet to the wrong person.
100%. And the inspector catches that. If Bob tries to send that spreadsheet to his personal Gmail account or download it to some unsafe USB drive, the inspector blows the whistle and blocks the transfer.
Okay, guard and inspector. What's the third one? PM, Privileged Access Manager.
PM is the keymaster.
The one with the heavy ring of keys.
The keys to the kingdom. We're talking about those special administrative accounts that have the power to change how the whole system works. Root access, server configs.
Yeah, if a hacker gets those keys, it's game over.
It's game over. They own the Lighthouse.
So how does the keymaster handle that?
By never letting anyone keep the keys, it uses what's called just-in-time access. If an admin needs to fix a server, they check out the key for, say, 1 hour. They do the job.
And the key just disappears.
It automatically expires and returns to the vault. You never walk around with the master key in your pocket.
I like that. It removes that human error element of, oh, I forgot to revoke the admin access for the contractor who left 6 months ago.
Precisely.
All right, let's shift gears. We've established what the Lighthouse is and who works there. But for the network engineers listening, the ones who actually have to wire this thing up, let's talk plumbing. How do we actually connect to this?
This is where we move from the what to the how. And the fundamental shift with Symantec ZTNA is moving away from the VPN. A VPN connects you to a network.
Right. It's like plugging your laptop directly into the office wall.
Exactly. ZTNA connects you to an app.
So it's a surgical connection versus a sledgehammer.
Perfect way to put it. Now, in the Symantec ecosystem, you have 2 main ways to handle this. First, you've got agent-based access. This uses the WSS Agent, the Symantec endpoint.
Okay.
This is the gold standard for your managed corporate devices. If you hand an employee a laptop, you put the agent on it, it gives you the deepest level of visibility.
But you can't put an agent on everything. What about the contractors, the third-party vendors who show up with their own iPads or, personal laptops?
That is the nightmare scenario for most admins. But here, we use agentless access.
Okay.
They access resources through a web portal. It's ideal for BYOD, bring your own device. They log in through a browser, they get access to the specific tools they need, but, and this goes back to our digital rock, they never touch the network itself.
So their possibly infected laptop is viewing the data, but it's not actually touching the infrastructure.
Correct. And speaking of touching the infrastructure, there's a specific update for the engineers regarding RDP Remote Desktop Protocol.
Oh, RDP. The necessary evil.
It is. And usually securing RDP means making it miserable to use its laggy, tiny screens. But as of December 2025, Symantec updated this. When you download an RDP file via an access token, users can now configure single or even multiple monitor displays.
Wait, that actually sounds like a big deal. It's a quality of life thing.
It's huge. Usually secure means clunky, but allowing multi-monitor support on a secure remote session, that's how you get your engineers to actually using the secure tool rather than finding a workaround.
You make it usable, they won't try to bypass it.
That is the holy grail of security usability.
Totally. Now, let's talk about this trust broker concept, because none of this works if we don't know who is knocking at the door.
Right. ZTNA acts as a broker. It doesn't necessarily manage the identities itself. It checks them against your source of truth, so it plays nice with the big players.
About
It integrates with Okta, both SP-initiated and IDP-initiated SSO. It supports Active Directory, obviously. And for the identity nerds listening, yes, it supports SAML-v2, covering both post and redirect bindings.
So you aren't rewriting your entire authentication flow just to fit the tool?
No, but here is the kicker. Continuous verification. It supports multi-factor authentication, of course, but it also checks the device health.
What does that mean?
Is the antivirus running? Is the OS patched? If I log in and then 5 minutes later I turn off my firewall, the Lighthouse sees that and can cut my connection instantly.
That's that vigilance again.
Huh?
Okay, I want to play a game.
Uh-oh. I'm worried.
Don't be. I want to role-play a scenario that is probably keeping half our listeners awake at night.
Yeah.
The ISO 27001 audit.
The dreaded audit.
I am the auditor. I have a clipboard. I have no sense of humor. And I am looking for holes in your ship. So I'm going to throw an ISO requirement at you, and I want you to tell me how Symantec ZTNA helps me check that box.
Challenge accepted. Let's do it.
Okay, audit item 8.9, access control. The requirement is simple. You must restrict access to information. With a VPN, everyone has keys to the whole building. How do you fix that?
I mitigate that with least privilege access. With Symantec ZTNA, I'm not giving you network-level access. I'm giving you granular access to specific applications only. You're the auditor. Try to open a door you aren't assigned to. You can't.
Why not?
The door doesn't even exist for you. Check.
Okay, fair enough. Audit item A12.4. Logging and monitoring. I need to see a record of user activities. Usually logs are a mess, just a timestamp of when someone logged in.
That's the VPN problem. User logged in at 9 a.m. That tells you nothing. My mitigation is continuous verification. ZTNA audits every single request.
Everyone.
Everyone. I can show you a film strip, essentially. I can show you every file accessed, every page loaded, every data transfer. It creates a forensic-level compliance trail. Check.
Impressive. Audit item A2013. Network security management. I need you to protect the information in your systems. So I'm going to scan your network for open ports.
Go ahead and scan. My mitigation is cloaking. The software-defined perimeter makes the applications invisible to the public internet. There are no open ports for you or a hacker to ping. You can't breach what you can't find. Check.
Last one. This is the hard one. Audit item A2015. Supplier relationships. You have contractors. They use their own laptops. You can't control their hardware. How do you ensure security?
My mitigation is agentless secure access. This is our BYOD solution. I don't control their laptop, you're right, but I control the session. I govern their data.
What do you mean you govern their data?
I can prevent them from downloading files, copying text, or printing, even though it's their own computer. I govern the verbs, not the noun. Check.
Govern the verbs. I like that. Okay, you passed the audit.
Thank you. It really does turn compliance from a headache into, well, into a native feature of the architecture.
So we've covered the theory, the machinery, and the compliance. Now, let's talk practical application. If I'm an IT director and I want to deploy this, what does the road trip look like? We have this 5 steps to go zero trust guide here.
Right. And the key is don't panic. It's a step-by-step process.
A step 1.
Figure out identity, IAM. You need a single source of truth. You can't do anything until you know who is knocking at the door, so clean up your Active Directory or get your Okta sorted first.
Step 2.
Differentiate devices. This is crucial. You have to distinguish between your managed corporate devices and unmanaged BYOD devices.
Why is that distinction so important so early on?
Because context dictates access. A user on a corporate laptop might get full access download, print, edit.
Okay.
That same user with the same password logging in from a personal phone at a coffee shop might get view-only access. If you don't differentiate the device, you can't enforce that kind of nuance.
Got it. Step 3.
Map access scenarios. Don't try to boil the ocean. Seriously, don't try to switch the whole company overnight. Pick one specific scenario like remote workforce accessing cloud apps and start there. Get a win.
Step 4.
Select the solution. And here, the critical feature you need to look for is data governance. This goes back to governing the verbs. It's not just about access. It's about what actions they can take. Can they download? Can they print? Can they run SSH commands?
You need a solution that controls what they do, not just where they go.
Exactly.
And finally, step 5, the big switch.
Migrate and cloak. This is the moment. Once the ZTNA policy is live and working for an application, you block all network-level access, you close the firewall ports. That is the moment the shield goes up and the resource just disappears from the public internet.
That's the moment the Lighthouse becomes safe.
That's it.
Okay, quick shopping list before we wrap up. If I'm buying this from Broadcom, what am I actually putting in the cart? Licensing can be, well, a nightmare.
It's actually gotten much simpler recently. The core is the Symantec ZTNA standalone license.
And that covers everything we talked about. Agent, agentless.
Mostly. The big update is that this single license is now sufficient for both agentless and agent-based access. You no longer have to buy a separate SWG license just to run the agent for ZTNA.
That's a big efficiency win.
It is.
What about the fancy stuff? The browser isolation?
That is an add-on. For that, you'll want to look at ZTNA application protection. This is what's required if you want to use isolation profiles.
Isolation profile.
Yeah, think of it as a clean room for your browser. It allows you to do things like prevent users from opening developer tools or applying specific web isolation policies to risky sites.
So if you need that deep level of browser control,
You need the add-on. And just a quick note for the procurement teams, as of December 2025, license sharing is available for new customers, which helps with flexibility.
all right, we've been through the storm, we've built the Lighthouse, and we've survived the audit. It's a complete blueprint.
Right.
But I also know that listening to a podcast is very different than actually configuring a server.
Very different. Implementing this stuff requires expertise. You don't want to learn how to build a lighthouse while the hurricane is hitting.
Exactly. So if you are listening to this and thinking, I need this, but I need a guide, Watchpost Security is the team to call. They specialize in this exact Symantec blueprint.
You can reach out directly to them at watchpostsecurity.com. They're also putting out great content on the Watchpost Security YouTube channel and their LinkedIn page.
And they do something really cool, Zoom office hours. From 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's basically an open door policy.
It is, yeah.
We'll put the specific Zoom link in the show notes, but you can literally just drop in and ask a question.
That is rare access.
It is. If you prefer email, hit them up at watchpostsec@outlook.com. Or if you want to make a call, the cell is 720-984-3292, and the business line is 303-287-2166.
So there's no excuse to stay lost in the fog.
You know, before we go, I want to leave the listeners with one final thought. We use that ocean imagery a lot today. The Wild West. The storm.
It's the reality of the network today.
So think about your own network right now, tonight. If the fog rolls in and the ransomware waves start crashing, is your organization a lighthouse standing firm on that digital rock? Or are you just another ship lost at sea?
That is the question.
Thanks for diving in with us. Stay dry out there.
Stay safe.